Hello and welcome, I'm Raziel. So, Mantic are releasing a new game, and it is Kings of War Champions. So, it's set in the Kings of War universe, which is, of course, their fantasy universe. It's a good universe, it's all set on Panafor and lots of armies to choose from, and it seems to be more on the longs of a line of the combat control and spearhead games from Games Workshop. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I like these sort of games. It's minimal financial burden on anyone. You just need to buy a single box and get the rules, and you're done for what you need for the game. Now, the one thing I've always praised that Mantic being good at is releasing plenty of models for when they drop a new game. It's except for Halo because it's just Spartans really, but usually King's War, Firefight, and even Armada and stuff like that. They tend to drop a couple of armies with it, and they've done this. Yet it's the weird part of it is that if you don't want the Basilians or the Forces of the Abyss, it's actually kind of cheaper to get the army you want rather than just the box set. Like the box set's £87.50, and each company box for this game is £40. They have four right now. They have the Northern Alliance, which is the Jordan Taliesin, the Twilight Kin, which is Laphiel Voidheart, Goblins, Grunk Blackclaw, and the Night Stalkers, the Void Talon. And they're all pretty cool. And to be honest with you, with the Basilians and if we include the Basilians and the Forces of the Abyss, the Basilians seems to be lacking in any real substantial centerpiece model. Each of the other ones, including the Forces of the Abyss, have a nice centerpiece model for you, a nice decent sized model. And also, what's kind of weird is this is very much geared up to be more villains than actual, heroes. Though there is the three faction types in, morality types in Kings of War, which have you evil, neutral, and good. And so good, you got Northern Alliance and Basilians. Evil, you would have Twilight Kin, Forces of the Abyss, and Night Stalkers. And kind of neutral is the Goblins. I say kind of neutral because they're goblins more than anything else. And they do look pretty good. You get some decent models in each box. I do like the Twilight Kin box, and the Night Stalker box have some really cool things. Flyers for the Northern Alliance and the Night Stalkers, they have flyers, proper bird flyers, and the Goblins have a tank and a dreadnought sort of thing. So you've got a nice selection of choice there, and I'm kind of sort of torn on this because the starter set is £87.50, which means you're basically just getting the map and the rulebook for free. It's a bit of a shame, and I've got to say, and you get the terrain. Always bothers me when they sort of put terrain in boxes because it's always a way of upping the price because you feel like you're getting something free, but it's not. We go with the armies here, and I think that's going to be my biggest complaint because honestly, I like the Basilians, I like the Forces of Abyss. They're great looking armies, and they got some named characters, the Blood Cardinal and Alanis Salustis. They look really good. They look like really nice models, and these are new models for the game, and I think they look really cool. But I don't. I mean, Basilians are cool, but they lack no real centerpiece model like the Nagaru for the Forces of the Abyss, and that's kind of a letdown for me for an army like that. They've got lots of units though. They've got lots of models for units. It's not you got cavalry, spearmen, crossbowmen. So you've got some decent sort of actual units, but nothing which is I would say really big. Whereas you got the Nagaru for the Forces of the Abyss, and so that would be kind of, in my opinion, better because it looks better on the playing field. Though I can see the cavalry could be bigger models, and you've also got the larger models as well for the Forces of the Abyss, which is cool. It's cool, and I like it. Like you got the Abyssal Berserkers. That's kind of what they are. And like I said, it's kind of a weird place for me to say, that the game seems a little bit overpriced when if I wanted to get into it, I would spend less £17.50 more because I got plenty of player mats and plenty of terrain anyway. Mainly because I build a lot of my own, or I will just use stuff from like Judge Dredd and where I've got other bits of terrain from other games, even though they might not fit this. They're there just to act as terrain, okay? Doesn't matter if they look right, in my opinion. But, each of their own. And so that's just me, because when I play a game, it's just playing the game. And I'm more kind of drawn to getting the company boxes. Now, the company boxes are £40 a piece, and they look really good. Now, the dwarven one is probably the dwarven one, the goblin one. So I keep thinking it's a dwarf, because the big armored guy, the big Grunk Blackclaw, he's like in big power armor and it looks goblin as hell. And you got a tank, so it looks really cool. And I think that's a really cool looking army for a game of this size. And again, this is what I've complained about Combat Patrol for a while. Not just the price, but when they lack any form of centerpiece model. I think boxes like this should have at least one of them. They seem to be pretty varied. You've got some real heavy support, some basic infantry in each, and you have, that centerpiece. The Twilight King has kind of two centerpieces. You've got Laphiel Voidheart, and she looks amazing. I like her spider legs. I think she looks really cool. And you've got the big flying boat. And I think that's what makes these boxes really spectacular. And I think the company boxes are the way to go here. And getting the rulebook separate. No, in Mantic you're probably going to get the rulebook for free anyway. Eventually, because they tend to do that a lot, except for Halo. I can guess why Halo and any third-party IP, why they won't give it away for free. Now, my opinion on this really is, the starter set is only if you want the Basilians or the Forces of the Abyss. That's the only reason you would get that box, and that's it. I would honestly suggest get the rulebook and get one of the other company boxes that you fancy. That's the way I'm going to go about this, because I really think that it's kind of a bit expensive to £87.50, and if you're just getting a rulebook and some terrain and that's it as your extras, it feels kind of, I don't like it. And I'm usually very praiseworthy of Mantic. I think they do a lot of things right, but I think the pricing of this box is a little steep. And given that we've just had a new Kill Team box, even though it's completely out now, at £82.50. I said £87.50 because I was looking at this at the same time, and Kill Team at £67.50. It's really a bit odd to say that Mantic are kind of get a bit more expensive than Games Workshop at this time. But you do get a lot of models. You don't, it's more than just 20 models. You get practically 2 full armies, which you can actually play Kings of War with as well. So that is a bonus. And so, yeah, personally, I'm more into the company boxes. I think that's the way I'm going to go with this. And it'll probably be either Twilight King or the Goblins. Though I do like the Night Stalkers as well. Northern Alliance I kind of like the idea of, but looks-wise, I like the Goblins because they're always funny. The Twilight King, Laphiel Voidheart, looks absolutely fantastic model. And the Night Stalkers, I kind of like the Scarecrows and the, basic infantry for the Night Stalkers. They always look really cool. And I don't know why, for some reason, when it comes to fantasy, I tend to choose the bad guys. Always do. So, what do I think? Honestly, go with a company box and the rules. That's the way I would go for this game. So, you'd have more choice. You definitely get more bang for your buck. And to be honest with you, I'm an old beard, I'm a greybeard here, and I've been playing and collecting for years. And so when it comes to stuff like terrain, it's never a selling point to me. It never will be, because one, I used to play on a Sabutio map because I'm old, and used to put books underneath it because I'm that old. I used to make my own terrain. We used to put Coke cans on the thing as fuel tanks. This is just the way I used to play it, and it's the way I still play it. Now I'll just put an old model that I'm not using and have that as terrain, like a tank or something, like I'd say, where that tank's destroyed, and that's the objective or something like that. So, Kings of War Champions, it's okay. Honestly, the starter box I would say is slightly overpriced for what it is. It is still one of the cheaper ones. It's still cheaper than Wild West Exodus. It's still, It's cheaper than First Blood, but when you start, I mean, it's cheaper than Warcry as well, which is a Games Workshop product, as you guys know. But it does feel to me that it needs to go down the route of Kings of War Champions. Definitely do the company boxes unless you really want either the Basilians or the Forces of the Abyss. If those are your forces that you want, go for the starter box. See if you can go halves with a friend for the other one, or let them pay a little bit less if you're keeping the rulebook, or let them have the terrain, or you the rulebook, or them the rulebook and you the terrain. Divide it as equally as you can. But if neither of those armies really suit you, honestly, company box plus rulebook is the way to go. Save your money, save that extra £17.50, get a decent force and the force you'd like. And that's just the way it is. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you all again soon. I hope you have a good day. Thank you very much for watching. And if you want to save money on your wargaming, of course, you can go down to Railing Games as always, because you can save up to 20% off. And you get free delivery after £20. And they have the point system, which works out as an extra 1% off no matter what you buy. And so, there's also Forbidden Planet for comics, DVDs, mangas, and all that cool stuff. And there's my merchandise, my comics, my t-shirts, all of that stuff, all drawn by me, or, all done by me. There is no third party here, no editors, it's just me. There's also Skyforge, good friend of mine. Let's get him up that old Google algorithm. And finally, sorry about that, there is Patreon, because business. Bye-bye.